Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And 10.2 just dropped with a huge bunch of news. It's going to be the start of Season 3 for the new PvP season, as well as Mythic Plus and raiding. And there is a plethora of class changes that we should really just get started right now because there's that many and they're going to be that game-breaking. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with changes like this related to World of Warcraft, as well as entertaining and educational content, smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. But as I said, there is a lot to gobble up, and there might be some really juicy changes for specializations to check out. For Unholy specifically, in Guardians of the Dream, we are looking to redistribute Unholy's damage profile. Unholy has some of the highest bursts in the game, which means most of their damage profile needs to be tuned around that window. The goal with these changes is to reduce their 3-minute burst while increasing their rotational damage and giving more impact to their 45-second windows, which should allow for a more overall healthy damage profile across a fight. We fully expect Unholy will still excel in their gargoyle windows, but they should now also have a little more impact outside of it as well. This is a really good sign for PvP. Like, this type of discussion for a specialization is going to make PvP really fun. So I am hoping they can hit this. Let's see what they're going to do specifically. Unholy Assault now increases all damage dealt by 20%. Was previously granting 20% haste for 20 seconds. So just a flat out 20% damage increase. At the moment, Unholy has access to multiple sources of haste that can make their opener a little unwieldy, which often leads to an abundance of wasted resources. While this change doesn't completely rectify that situation, it should help reduce some of it. Man, 20% damage increase death coil sounds pretty nasty. Raise Dead main ghoul damage is just going to be doing 10% more damage. Your gargoyle is going to be doing 30% less damage. Your Soul Reaper is going to be doing 20% more damage. I'd really like to see Soul Reaper make a return for Death Knight. I feel like that iconic execute effect is kind of lackluster at the moment. Army of the Dead damage of ghouls have been reduced by 25%. And ghouls summoned by Apocalypse now have their own scaling from the Death Knight's stats separate from Army of the Dead. This gives us the opportunity to attune Apocalypse independently of Army of the Dead and vice versa. Apocalypse ghoul damage has been increased by 12%. Death Coil is getting a 12% increase. Scourge Strike, 12% increase. Festering Strike damage, 20% increase. And Festering Wound damage is being increased by 10%. Now, do note, I think like numbers like this gonna have to be readjusted a few times into the future, but I really do like the direction of the overarching paragraph that we can see from this. So it is looking pretty promising for Death Knight if they can hit those intended goals and intended targets. Now for Demon Hunter, updates for Demon Hunter talents are in progress, but we're not ready for testing just yet. Goals for the update include improving pathing and connections in the class tree, addressing underused talents, increasing access to key Havoc utility that currently clashes with DPS, updating existing talents to improve resultant gameplay, improving Vengeance's sigil-related talents as a possible build identity or to be incorporated into other builds more successfully, and adding a couple new talents that help achieve those goals. We expect Demon Hunter talent changes to roll in over the course of the next few PTR updates. Check back soon. So a sigil build could be either kind of cringe or maybe pretty cool for Havoc specifically. So we'll definitely have to check that out in the future. For Druid, Innervate is getting a 2-second nerf. Feels bad. For Boomkin specifically, in Guardians of the Dream, we'd like to diversify Balance's talent builds in different content and provide more viable options. I feel like Boomkin has I feel like it already has a pretty diverse profile. Like, I mean, I can't find a single Boomkin that plays the same talents as any other one, at least in PvP. Wild Mushrooms was too expensive to compete with other talent options, so we combined it and Fungal Growth into a single point. Wild Mushrooms is now a choice node with a revised Orbital Strike that is no longer tied to Celestial Alignment. You can choose the steady damage of Wild Mushrooms or a less frequent big burst of damage with Orbital Strike. We also removed the conflict between maintaining Rattle of Stars and maximizing Star-Lord. We like the save resources and spend during Eclipse gameplay of balance and feel Star-Lord optimizes it better. Whoa, I mean, Orbital Strike competing with Wild Mushrooms, but it's not tied to Celestial Alignment, so it's just a separate incarn? I'm going to have to see the specifics of that because that sounds really strange. You're going to get a 2% damage increase overall, Nature's Grace is only going to give you 10% haste down from 15. That's a pretty significant nerf. Power of Goldrin damage has been increased by 20%. Moved to where Star-Lord was located in Fractures in Time. Star-Lord has moved to where Power of Goldrin was located in Fractures in Time. Rattle of the Stars has been redesigned. It is no longer a buff that stacks when you cast Star Surge or Starfall, and is now a passive bonus that always reduces the cost of Starfall and Star Surge by 10%, increases their damage by 12. I feel like that's removing a lot of gameplay of like stacking, chaining your Star Surges together. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of this. Orbital Strike has been redesigned. Okay, now maybe this will solve some of the questions that I had. Call down a bombardment of celestial energy over the targeted area, blasting all enemies for astral damage and applying stellar flare to them for 16 seconds, generating 30 astral power. Orbital Strike still hits enemies in a 40-yard line and has a 90-second cooldown. Now a choice note with Wild Mushroom. So it's not going to activate Eclipse. So we're going to get Celestial Alignment and Orbital Strike. I mean, Wild Mushrooms are they dead if that's the case? I feel like they might just be dead if that's the case. Fungal Growth has been removed, and Wild Mushrooms now include its effect. And Wild Mushroom damage has been reduced by 20%, and Fungal Growth damage over time has been reduced by 60%. It was previous 70, so it's getting a 10% buff. Fungal Growth damage over time now deals damage over 10 seconds, up from 8. So it's going to last 2 seconds longer. This is a pretty big change for Boomkin. I feel like Wild Mushroom's still probably not going to compete with Orbital Strike. I mean, Orbital Strike was pretty big, so that does seem a little bit strange. For Feral, some minor shakeups to Feral and Guardians of the Dream. Apex Predator's value varies a lot in single target and AoE, so we're evening that out a little. We're trying a new version of Ashamane's Guidance, as we don't love the randomness of the current version of the updated Berserk design. It's hard to optimize its damage and resource generation without using external tracking mods. The new version will have more consistent value and rewards you for maintaining your most important bleeds. Apex Predator's chance to trigger is increased against a low number of targets and decreased against a high number of targets. Its chance to trigger is about the same as before against 4 targets. They really don't like big AoE damage. Cat's Curiosity has been replaced with a new talent, Saber Jaws. When you spend extra energy on Ferocious Bite, the extra damage is increased by 40 to 80%. Big bites? Big bites? Ashamane's Guidance effect for Incarnation, Avatar of Ashamane, has been redesigned. During Incarnation, Avatar of Ashamane, and for 30 seconds after it ends, your Rip and Rake each cause affected enemies to take 3% increased damage from your ability. So the biggest takeaway here for is potentially some big Ferocious Bite builds for Feral Druid into the next patch. Resto Druid, which just got a big class update and new talents, looking like you're getting a lot as well here in 10.2. Cenarius' Guidance Incarnation. Tree of Life functionality has been redesigned. During Tree of Life, you will summon a Grove Guardian every 10 seconds. Oh my god. The cooldown of Incarnation Tree of Life is reduced by 5 seconds when one of the Grove Guardians fade. They're making more trees. Tree of Life now additionally empowers Wrath, causing it to deal 20% more damage and be instant cast. The trees are going to heal and you're going to pew pew. The trees are going to heal and you're going to pew pew. Oh my god. Reforestation now grants Tree of Life for 10 seconds, up from 9. Oh, you could proc the Tree of Life too. And you could summon Grove Guardians while it's procced. Oh my god. New talent, Liveliness. Your damage over time effects deal their damage 25% faster, and your healing over time effects heal 5% faster. And this is likely replacing Circle of Life and Death. They made a Master Shapeshifter try and compete with this talent, so they're basically trying to kill that off so that Master Shapeshifter is the auto lock talent, is what that looks like. Grove Tending Healing is just being increased by 30%. Grove Guardian's Nourish is getting nerfed though by 16%, and Grove Guardian's Swiftman is also getting nerfed by 20%. So they're not gonna be super powered trees, but you're gonna have a lot more of them. Grove Guardian's Wild Growth Healing for Wild Synthesis is also nerfed by 20%. Luxuriant Soil now causes Rejuvenation to have a 1 to 2% chance to jump to a nearby ally. It was 1.5 to 3. That's bad. I mean, you've never taken that in PvP, but Regrowth's Initial Healing increased by 20%. Regrowth Heal over Time effect increased by 42%. Rejuvenation is getting buffed by 25%. Wild Growth is getting buffed by 15%. Wrath and Starfire damage are getting buffed by 90%. Okay, maybe they're worth pressing. Abundance caps at 12 stacks for a maximum of 60% crit and cost reduction. Cenarian Ward is getting buffed by 25%. Swiftman's getting 30% buff. Inner Peace now reduces the cooldown of Tranquility by 30 seconds down from 60. And Spring Blossoms, that's a big nerf to Tranquility. Spring Blossoms healing is reduced by 25%. Sunfire now costs 1.8% of your base mana, down from 2.4%. And Embrace of the Dream healing has been reduced by 30%. Flourish now extends the duration of all of your heal over time effects on friendly targets within 60 yards. So it's not targeted. for 6 seconds. Previously it was 8, and increases the rate of your heal over time effects by 25% down from 100. So that's a big kind of like AoE burst heal for a large group of players. Flourish procs from Convoke the Spirits. Now extend heal over time effects by 3 seconds was 4, and last 3. I didn't even know you could flourish from Convoke. Okay. I mean, I'm probably still not going to take Convoke in PvP, but that's definitely interesting. Your set bonuses, they've got set bonuses here as well. Now increases the healing of regrowth periodic heal by 35%, down from 50. And now increases the rate of your heal over time effects by 26%, down from 30. So you're getting that this nerf. They nerfed the talent and then put it into a set bonus. I'm not going to lie, that kind of seems lazy. Circle of Life and Death used to make your HOTS heal faster. They made it not heal it as fast and then made a set bonus that makes them heal. That comes across really bad. I'm going to be honest. For Devastation Evoker, developers notes, we are reducing the effectiveness of Mastery Giant Killer and adding a health floor for the damage bonus. The goal is to bring some damage out of Dragon Rage due to the talent tyranny and make Devastation less reliant on hitting high health targets while still retaining the flavor and gameplay of the Mastery. This makes them less bursty in PvP and allows them to be more flexible in raids and dungeon content. To compensate for the reduced damage during Dragon Rage, we're increasing Devastation's damage overall. All of your damage is getting 5% buff. Your Mastery Giant Killer is reduced by 25%. For example, level 70, 180 Mastery now grants 1.5% Mastery, down from 2. In addition, damage no longer falls off once the target reaches 30% health. So, equalizing your damage a little bit here. This type of effect was always not too great, especially in raiding, but even in PvP. So hopefully this is going to give Devastation a better feel. Preservation, Spirit Bloom is going to get 25% more healing. Living Flame is getting 20% more healing. Verdant Embrace healing increased by 35%. Resonating Sphere applies Echo to the first ally's hit. It was previously 5. Cycle of Life now accumulates 10%, was 15% of all of your healing over 8 seconds. It was previously 10. For Hunter, fixing an issue where Entrapment didn't share diminishing returns with other root effects. That's a big nerf. That's a big nerf to Hunter. Like, your traps are going to DR. Before you could get a root trap into a tar trap, they wouldn't DR. So I'm guessing that means they're going to properly DR. So that's actually a pretty big nerf in PvP. Aspect of the Wild and Call of the Wild have struggled to be compelling choices during Dragonflight. Both of these cooldowns were competing for similar design space to make you and your pets feel stronger in a way that feels different than Beast of Wrath. After evaluating these abilities, we have decided to replace Aspect of the Wild entirely and convert it into a passive option of the talent tree. The removal of Aspect of the Wild allows us to double down on the Call of the Wild being a strong pet summoning cooldown for the Beast Mastery spec. We're also lowering the number of talents in the Thrill of the Hunt and Dire Command talent nodes from 3 to 2, which should give you some extra flexibility in your talent choices. So Aspect of the Wild gone. New talent, Savagery. Kill command damage increased by 10%. Barb Shot now lasts 2 seconds longer and replaces Aspect of the Wild. That's pretty juicy sounding talent. Master Handler has been redesigned. Each time Barb Shot deals damage, the cooldown of Kill command is reduced by 0.5 seconds. So they're carrying forward the set bonus, I think, onto this talent, the current set bonus in this patch. Call of the Wild has been slightly redesigned. Cooldown reduced to 2 minutes was 3, and the base ability now also has added functionality. Whenever Call of the Wild summons a pet, the cooldown of Kill Command and Barb Shot are reduced by 50%. They really want random pet summons here. Choice notes for the Call of the Wild updates. While Call of the Wild is active, all of your pets are affected by Beast Cleave. Each time Call of the Wild summons a pet, all of your pets stomp. Well, that's a lot of AoE, man. While Call of the Wild is active, each time you kill command, your kill command target takes 3% more damage from all of your active summons, and it stacks. This is going to be broken. Thrill of the Hunt is now a 2 rank talent, was 3. Each point grants 2% critical strike chance, stacking up to 2 to 4 times, was 3. Stacking 1, 2 to 3 times. Dire Command is now a 2 rank talent, was 3. Each point grants 15 to 30% chance to trigger, was 10, 20, and 30. And Snakebite has just been removed. Marksmanship Hunter, Windrunner's Guidance has been unreliable. Being unreliable has added too much variance to a hunter's performance on each dungeon or raid attempt. This should keep the Wind Arrow theme strong and useful while being predictable and reliable for how it interacts with your abilities and your True Shot cooldown. Windrunner's Guidance has been redesigned. Each Wind Arrow fired reduces the cooldown of Rapid Fire by 0.5 seconds, and each 8 Wind Arrows increases the duration of your next True Shot by 1 second up to a maximum of 10. So less RNG and more direct focus play around that. I was hoping for a little bit more attention for Marksmanship Hunter, honestly. This really isn't enough for me, at least. For Survival, Wildfire Bombs now correctly states the damage is reduced when damaging more than 8 targets. Just, update for that. Wildfire Bombs now deal 40% increased damage to the primary target. The Aberrant Survival set bonus increases the value of Wildfire Bomb on single target encounters in a way that has worked out well. We want to keep this interaction going forward for Survival, so we're removing it from the set bonus and just making all variants of Wildfire Bomb, including any periodic damage effects, deal 40% increased damage to your primary target when using Wildfire Bomb. So this is the type of stuff that I like. Use the set bonuses to experiment with different styles and play with the specs, and if it works and you like it, just bake it into the class baseline and carry it forward and use the set bonuses almost as a testing ground for new ideas, because then you can phase them out if they didn't work out the way that you wanted. I really like this approach. In terms of creating a baseline. Not a big fan of like trying to take the talent, nerf a talent in a tree and then carry the set bonus back forward by taking an existing talent and turning that into a set. I didn't really like that for Resto Druid. Aberrus, your set bonus no longer causes kill command to increase damage taken from wildfire bombs, but this is the current set bonus, so we're not too worried. For Holy Paladin, healing is a 3% nerf. Holy Light healing increased by 40%. Flash of Light healing increased by 30%. Big casted healing buffs. Daybreak now restores 2,000 mana per glimmer consumed, down from 3, so you're not going to be infinite mana potentially. Reclamation now restores up to 12% of Crusader Strike and Holy Shock's mana costs, so more mana regeneration nerfs. Glimmer of Light healing and damage is now increased by 4% per target, down from 6, and Glimmer of Light damages has been increased by 10%. So casted healing buffs, but mana regeneration nerfed. Power Infusion is now only going to grant 20% haste, down from 25, and it's only going to last 15 seconds. A bit ironic that they're nerfing Power Infusion at the same time that they introduced a Power Infusion class, in my opinion. But especially when you read it, Power Infusion has proved to be too impactful due to how it stacks with cooldowns on specializations that excel at dealing damage in a short window. We're reducing its duration and amplitude to balance our burst classes and keep them more in line with steady state damage dealers. Augmentation Evoker would like to have a word on terms of buffing burst classes too, I think. Shadow Word Death now deals 8% of the priest's maximum health and damage when it fails to kill a target, instead of the backlash damage being based on the damage dealt. So it's going to be a bit more consistent, less random. Tithe Evasion now reduces Shadow Word Death damage dealt to the priest by 50%, was 75. So you're going to be taking more Shadow Word Death damage, I think. Or this equals it all out and it just removes the RNG element of it. Shadow Word Death backlash damage is now reduced by damage reduction effects, though. And Mass Dispel has a cooldown of 2 minutes, was 45 seconds. Oh my god, Mass Dispel got a big nerf. Hey, that's a big nerf. Oh my god. Okay, we're reducing the frequency that priests have access to Mass Dispel as the value of the spell is exceeding the value of other utility at its current power level and cooldown. We're looking to allow for more situations where magic debuffs are applied to multiple players without having a priest trivializing the intended difficulty of the mechanics. Improved Mass Dispel is now a PvP talent and reduces the cooldown of Mass Dispel by 60 seconds, was previously 20. So it's going to go to a 1 minute cooldown. It's like a 15-second nerf in PvP. 1 minute window means you can't stop every stun trap if you're doing every 30, but every second one you could. So definitely a bit of a frequency nerf in PvP as well. Improved Master Spell no longer reduces the cast time, though. It's not going to be fast. No festy boy. Improved Master Spell has been replaced with Mental Agility. And Mental Agility, it reduces the mana cost of Purify Disease, and Master Spell by 50%, and Dispel Magic by 10. I don't like that. I feel like Shadow Priest is already spamming Purge enough. I don't like that new talent. Rhapsody now only highlights Holy Nova at max stacks while in combat. Discipline Priest, and I've seen some big updates for Discipline Priest. Seems like the healers are getting a lot of love here, which is really good in terms of trying to create increased participation, right, for the game. The goal of these changes is to simplify Discipline's damage rotation as well as the number of stacking modifiers used when ramping up for burst healing. This should make it smoother to play by reducing the number of abilities pressed in sequence, allowing players to focus on managing atonement and triaging their allies instead. Schism has been redesigned to be a passive talent, now causing your Mind Blast to fracture the enemy's mind, increasing your spell damage to the target by 10%, so just baking them together. And Shadow Covenant has been redesigned to be a passive talent. Shadow Fiend or Mindbender enters you into a shadowy pact, transforming Halo, Divine Star, and Penance into shadow spells, and increasing the damage and healing of your shadow spells by 25% for 15 seconds. I like reducing the keybinds here because I feel like Disc Priest and Resto Druid, they had a lot of binds. So bringing the binds down and making the damage spells really cool to press, I like this direction for Disc. Shadow Covenant is another ability that must be sequenced correctly and is usually stacked with other damage modifiers. By merging this effect with Shadow Fiend, we can streamline the damage rotation and make Shadow Fiend a more exciting cooldown at the same time, as well as make Mindbender more interesting as well. Mind Blast has a 24-second cooldown from 9. Obviously, you would have to adjust the cooldown if it's going to have an increased effect. Mind Blast damage will also be increased by 30%. Basically, Mind Blast is replacing Schism. Dark Indulgence no longer grants an additional charge of Mind Blast. Instead, Mind Blast has a 100% chance to grant power of the dark side. So big penance damage there. Inescapable Torment damage increased by 60%. Inescapable Torment now triggers from Penance in addition to Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death. Okay. Inescapable Torment is now a 1-point talent, down from 2. Power Word Solace has been removed. Oh, I like this one. Power Word Solace has a long history, but it was another example of a short cooldown damage button that cramped the rotation, so we're removing it. I like the mana return on it, man. Put the mana return on something else then at least. Harsh Discipline no longer triggers after 4 casts of Smite, Mind Blast, or Power Word Solace. Instead, Power Word Radiance has a 30 to 60% chance to cause your next penance to be free and fire 3 extra bolts. While Harsh Discipline was fun to play with, it added another thing you had to do before paying off on your atonements. by triggering from Powered Radiance. This will now automatically happen after applying your atonements. This will also reduce the frequency of harsh discipline procs and allow regular penance to deal more damage and healing. So it's going to be way more streamlined to play Disc for sure with these changes. New talent, Sanctuary. Smite prevents the next 80% damage dealt by an enemy. Okay, that makes Smite pretty good. New talent, I mean, what? You can spam that on somebody. You can just make them do 80% less damage. That's going to get nerfed. What about on a boss? What, a boss is going to do 80% less damage? There's no way. New talent, Ultimate Penitence. Ascend into the air and unleash a massive barrage of penance bolts, causing holy damage to enemies or healing allies over 6 seconds. While ascended, gain a shield for 50% of your health. In addition, you are unaffected by knockbacks or crowd control. What in the heck is that? What in the... You're going to go full god mode. You're just going to go full god mode. Okay, we're going full god mode, I guess, here. Never go full god mode. Disc Priest is going full god mode. New talent, Heaven's Wrath. Each penance bolt you fire reduces the cooldown of Ultimate Penitence by 2 seconds. New talent, Overloaded with Light. Ultimate Penitence emits an explosion of light, healing up to 10 allies around you, and applying atonement at 50% of normal duration. Penance now increased by 15%. Penance healing increased by 30. Powered Barrier now reduces the damage of all enemies by 20, down from 25. Atonement now heals for 32% of the damage done, down from 40. And Atonement healing is now increased by 50% when not in a raid. So this is a big deal for PvP. Flash Heal is getting 40% buff. Powered Shield Absorption is getting 10% buff. And Divine Ages is now a 1-point talent, down from 2. Light's Wrath and Resplendent Light, Wrath Unleashed, and Make Amends have been removed. Okay, so Light's Wrath, that big extra hit's gone. Just really lowering down the keybind bloat for it and making it God mode. Okay. This is the patch to be a healer, I think, guys, based on what we're seeing so far. Holy Priest, Holy Word Serenity healing increased by 30%. What are these? No. Flash Heal increased by 40%. Holy Word Salvation's cooldown is now reduced by 15 seconds, was previously 30 by Holy Word Serenity and Holy Word Sanctify. Getting a little bit lower on your Holy Word cooldowns, though. So you probably have to cast more. Symbol of Hope now restores 10% of your missing mana, down from 15. Symbol of Hope recovers 40 seconds of cooldowns for a major defensive, down from 60. So a bit of mana nerf and utility nerf. Holy Word Sanctify now heals 5 targets, down from 6. And Divine Star healing decreased by 25%. Halo decreased by 15. Not a big deal for PvP. But you're probably going to have to cast more if your Holy Words are not getting as much of a cooldown, which is going to make it a bit tougher on Holy Priest. For Shadow Crash, damage is now reduced beyond 5 targets. Surge of Insanity now triggers from every 3 casts of Devouring Plague instead of every cast of Devouring Plague. Ooh. It's a big one. The rotation has a lot going on, and much of that is due to the frequency that Mind Flay Insanity and Mind Spike Insanity are available, so we're adjusting the frequency of the effect. Mind Flay damage increased by 10%, Mind Flay Insanity damage increased by 30%, and Mind Spike Insanity damage increased by 20%. So these things are going to hit harder if you're not getting them every time. Otherwise, that's a pretty big nerf to Shadow Priest. For Mistweaver Monk, Life Cocoon healing increased by 33%, Soothing Mist by 40%, Enveloping Mist by 25%, Misty Peak's chance to trigger reduced to 2.5 to 5, was previously 5 to 10. Enveloping Breath now heals up to 5 nearby targets with 6. Invigorating Healing Mist increased by 25%. Invigorating Mist healing is now reduced beyond 5 targets. Burst of Life healing increased by 100%. Vivify Direct healing increased by 30%. Clouded Focus now increases the healing and decreases the mana cost of Vivify and Enveloping Mist by 15, down from 20. Ancient Teachings range increased to 40 from 30. Ancient Concordance now costs 1 point, and your Aberrant Set bonus is being redesigned. Now increases the healing of Renewing Mist, Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, just trying to make it more basic. Just healing buffs overall, it seems like, for Mistweaver. Rogue, now these guys, you guys are getting a rework here, so this is going to be a big deal for Rogue. And Guardians of the Dream are updating all 4 Rogue talent trees, all 4. Are they making a new Rogue spec? 4? To bring the, because the class tree counts as a tree, and then the 3 specs. Okay, I think that's what I'm talking about. Current standard. Sweeping Pass was needed to make significant adjustments to address notable concerns, like moving the first gate from row 3 to row 4. So just big changes. Many changes have been made to the class talent positions and connections. Sap is now a baseline ability. Shiv is getting 20% damage increase. Shiv now costs 30% energy up from 20, has a 30-second cooldown from 25, which is going to affect the Mortal Wounds effect application from Shiv. New talent, Featherfoot passive. Sprint increases movement speed by an additional 30%, and its duration is going to be increased by 4 seconds. So you're going to be faster, and with the unsnarable sprint PvP talent, pretty powerful. New talent, Superior Mixture, passive, Crippling Poison, reduced movement speed by an additional 10%, much more powerful snare. New talent, Graceful Guise, Feint has an additional, oh my god, don't do it. Feint was already broken, man. feint was already broken and you're going to give it 2 charges. Don't do that, please. New talent, Still Shroud passive. Shroud of Concealment has a 50% reduced cooldown. Vigor's location has changed. It's now a 2-point talent, increasing energy by 50 to 100 and increases your energy regen by 8 to 15. Deadly Precision is now a 1-point talent per point value, and this has not changed. Night Stalker's location has changed and now increases damage while stealth is active by 8 to 15, was 4 to 8. Reverberation now increases echoing reprimand damage. I've been reading a lot here. By 100%, up from 75. Deadened Nerves now reduces physical damage taken by 5%, was 3. You're going to be tankier. Echoing Reprimand now charges a combo point from 3, 4, and 5. Was previously 2, 3, and 4. Mark for Death has been adjusted. The cooldown is adjusted to 40 seconds for all specializations, was 30 for Assassination and Subtlety, 60 for Outlaw. Grants full combo points. It was previously 5, so you get a full row if you've got extra combo points. Now increases the damage of your finishing moves by 15% and lasts 15 seconds, was previously 60, and resets the cooldown if the target dies to the effect. I mean, the feint having 2 charges seems like the biggest thing for this. For Assassination, it's known for having strong single target damage, but has areas of concern we hope to address in Guardians of the Dream. First and foremost, their AoE has been notably weak, so they want to increase their AoE. Secondly, Assassination's player damage performance does not improve at a similar rate compared to most specs when players improve their play and coordination to take it on bigger challenges, like when moving from Heroic to Mythic leveling Raid. We hope changes here will raise the floor of Assassination's AoE, especially before reaching and needing capstone talents to do so. So really focused around AoE. I don't know what this will really construe for PvP. I guess we'll have to see. Many changes have been made. Shadow Step is now a baseline ability. New talent, Sudden Demise. Your bleed damage is increased by 10%. Targets below 35% instantly bleed out and take fatal damage when the remaining bleed damage you would deal to them exceeds 2%, 200% of the remaining health. How is that going to work in PvP? Those numbers are too big for my brain. I just see fatal damage. I just see fatal damage on her bleed. I'm gonna have to test that when the PTR is out. Because what? Caustic Spatter for a new talent. Using Mutilate on a target afflicted by your rupture and lethal poison applies Caustic Spatter for 10 seconds. Caustic Spatter causes 30% of the poison damage dealt to splash onto nearby enemies. Reduced beyond 5, limit 1, so just more AoE as they've said. New talent, Path of Blood, increases max energy by 100. That's a lot of energy. Envenom duration reduced by 1 second. Improved Shiv now increases nature damage by 30% from 20. Venomous Wounds now restores 8 energy up from 7. Elaborate Planning is now a 1-point talent, and its effect now increases damage by 5%, was previously 4 and 8. Improved Poisons is now 1 talent. Per point value is not changed. Bloody Mess is now a 1-point talent. Per point value is not changed. Thrown Precision has been adjusted. No longer increases Phantom Knives damage by 15%. Now increases Phantom Knives critical strike chance by 10%. And now causes Phantom Knives critical strikes to apply your weapon poisons. So you're going to be getting quite a bit of AoE from this for sure. Seal of Fate has changed. Moved to the class talent tree. From the class talent tree to Assassination is now 1 talent point. Effect now always triggers from critical strikes, was 50 to 100. Internal Bleeding effect is now also applied by Rupture, so instead of just Kidney Shot. Crimson Tempest has been adjusted. No longer as an instant damage component. Now as an initial damage over time tick on application. Damage per tick reduced by 25%. Duration increased by 2 seconds. Now deals bonus damage when multiple enemies are afflicted. Increased by 20% up to, oh my god, that's a big Crimson Tempest. If you're fighting a pet class, I think that's going to do insane AoE damage against like a Demo Log or something. Now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets, was 8. Lightweight Shiv now increases Shiv damage by 100% in addition to its previous effect. And Sanguinate has been redesigned. Active version, 1 minute cooldown. Garrote, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest consume 10 energy to duplicate 100% of any damage dealt last 10 seconds. The passive version, while above 100 energy, your Garrote, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest consume 8 energy to duplicate 40% of any damage dealt. Exsanguinate got deleted in the last patch, so it's nice to see it get updated. There are 2 updated versions of Exsanguinate available to test on the PTR, located on the talent tree as a choice note, with one being active and one being passive. Based on testing and feedback and possible iteration, we will likely keep one to continue on for patch release and discard the other. Okay, so they're going to test and get rid of one of these. Flying Daggers now increases Phantom Knives damage by 15% in addition to its previous effect. Venom Rush effect now refunds 6 energy with 7. Vicious Venoms have been adjusted. Bonus damage effect increased by 35 to 70. That's a lot of extra damage. Now increases Ambush and Mutilate energy cost by 5 to 10. Poison Bomb now affects an area within 8 yards with 6. I don't know if that's too big of a deal. Zoldyck Recipe is now a 2-point talent. Per point, talents have not changed. Dashing Scoundrel effect now generates 1 to 2 energy. Was at 1 energy at both ranks. Scent of Blood is is now a 2-point talent, and its effect now increases agility by 1.5 to 3, was previously 1 to 3. Arterial Precision effect now increases bleed damage by 30%. Just getting damage buffs overall. Dragon Tempered Blades now causes your weapon poisons to apply 30% less frequently, in addition to its previous effect. Indiscriminate Carnage has been redesigned. Garrote and Rupture apply to 2 additional enemies when used from stealth, and for 3 seconds after breaking stealth, passive talent. So you could double Garrote silence people when they're stacked up. Okay, so double Faint Charge, big AoE cleave. Seems like that's what we're seeing for Assassination. For Outlaw now specifically, we can see Outlaw's talent tree has been produced some fun gameplay so far in Dragonflight, but has significant issues with rigidity, lack of pathing options, high tension between early tree DPS and utility nodes, and far above average number of skippable core skills. Some of those skills have returned to the outline Rogue baseline, so let's check them out. Many changes have been made to the Outlaw. Grappling Hook, Blade Flurry, and Roll the Bones and Restless Blades are baseline, so you don't have to waste talents. Prey on the Weak has been moved from the class tree to the Outlaw and has been renamed Sting Like a Bee. New talent, Airborne Irritant. Passive, Blind applies to 4 nearby enemies while Blade Flurry is active, but has a 20% reduced duration. That's a meme, bro. That's a meme. There's no way that's a meme, dude. 20% less duration. Blind already got nerfed, number 1. And then number 2, this is just Paladin Blind. So rogues are going to troll people that dot in PvP. This talent is literally being created to troll people. It has no real purpose. It's not good. And the only time, if somebody takes it, they're trolling their teammates. That is a troll talent. New talent, Crack Shot. Passive. Between the Eyes has no cooldown. And also dispatches the target for 100% of normal damage when used from stealth. My rogue's almost max level, I just want to say. New talent, Underhanded, Upper Hand, passive. Slice and Dice does not lose duration during Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry does not lose duration during Adrenaline Rush. And Adrenaline Rush does not lose duration during Stealth. Stealth abilities can be used for an additional 3 seconds after Stealth breaks. And Between the Eyes critical effect bonus is now a buff on the rogue, was a debuff on the target. Thief's versatility has been readjusted. Moved from class talent tree to Outlaw, now 1 talent, now just increases versatility by 4%. Fatal Flourish effect now is a 50% chance to trigger with 60. Deft's maneuvers has been redesigned. Blade Flurry's initial damage is increased by 100%, so giving you a lot of cleave. Swift Slasher has been adjusted, now causes Slice and Dice to grant additional attack speed equal to 100% of your haste, was based on combo points spent. Ace Up Your Sleeve now grants 5 combo points, was 4, and has a 5% chance per combo point to trigger, was 4. Triple Threat is now a 1-point talent, granting 10% chance to trigger its effect, was 5 to 10. Improved Main Gash is now a 1-point talent. Per point value is not changed. Weapon Master has been removed. Okay. Improved Adrenaline Rush has been adjusted. No longer grants full combo points when Adrenaline Rush ends, and now grants full energy when Adrenaline Rush ends. Ghostly Strike has been readjusted. No longer affected by global cooldown. Cooldown increased to 1.5 minutes, was 35 seconds. Energy cost increased, but the damage is increased by 33%. Now increases the damage to the target by 15, up from 10, and duration increased to 12 from 10. It's kind of like Essence Break on a single target. I feel like that's basically what Ghostly Strike is becoming. Dreadblades has been adjusted. Effect now grants full combo points, was 5. Energy cost reduced to 30 from 40. Backlash damage increased to 8% of your current health from 5. So Dreadblood's going to be a little bit more dangerous. Killing Spree has been adjusted. Moved to Capstone location. Now a finishing move, increasing the number of total strikes per combo point. 1 strike plus 1 per combo point spent. Damage per strike increased by 33%. No longer reduces damage taken during the effect, and now causes 100% of damage taken during the effect to be delayed, instead taken over 8 seconds. Haste now applies now affects duration, reducing the time between strikes. I like making Killing Spree actually about killing things rather than being a random defensive cooldown that tickles your opponents, like Tickle Spree. Woo! That's what it was before, man. You put the killing back in Killing Spree here with this one. So now we got Subtlety Rogue. That is a gigantic paragraph. Oh my God. Subtlety's talent tree is in a similar position to Outlaw. So let's just check out specifically what's going on. Shadow Step and Black Powder are baseline abilities. Backstab energy has been increased, the cost to 40. Shadow Strike energy cost increased to 45 from 40, and the damage has been increased to compensate as well by 16%. Shadow Techniques has been adjusted. No longer grants a combo point immediately when the effect is triggered. Now stores combo points with a stacking buff up to double your max combo points. Abilities that generate combo points can expend any stored combo points to generate extra up to a max of your combo points. Energy generation reduced to 3, was previously 4. Find Weakness has been adjusted. This is a big effect for the class. Move from class, talent tree to subtlety. Now a 1-point talent now causes attacks to bypass 30% of the armor. So it's just a 1-point talent. Shadow Blades has been adjusted. Now causes all attacks was combo point generating abilities to deal 20% more damage as Shadow. But okay, so it's more attacks, but it's a little less burst. Now causes abilities that generate combo points to generate full combo points. It was 1 additional. New talent, Ephemeral Bond, increases healing by 12%. Don't make rogues more tanky. Are you trolling? Don't make rogues more tanky. What are you trolling, bro? Don't 2 faint charges, more heals. Don't make them tankier, bro. New talent, Shadowcraft passive. While Symbols of Death is active, your shadow techniques trigger after 1 fewer attacks, stores 1 additional combo point, and finishing moves can also expend stored combo points. Okay. Gormaw's Bite. Ooh, they're bringing this one back from Legion. Lashes out at the target, inflicting shadow damage and causing your next 3 finishing moves to cost no energy. Awards 3 combo points, cost 25 energy, 1 minute cooldown. Ooh, no energy. Oh my god, that's big. Eviscerates. New talent, Stunning Secret passive. Kidney Shot is a 100% increased cooldown energy cost and now creates shadow clones to stun all nearby enemy targets. You got Leg Sweep. You leg sweep people. I don't see that being taken. Although it sounds crazy. I mean, maybe against a melee cleave. But like the cooldown increase to it is, and the energy cost, I don't see that being taken. It's kind of memey like the blind talent, honestly. New talent, Warning Signs. Symbols of Death increases your haste by 6%. Shrouded in Darkness now causes Shrouded Concealment to persist after leaving its area in addition to its previous effect. Eviscerate damage increased by 10%. Gloomblade energy cost increased to 40, was 35. Planned Execution is now a 1-point talent. Increased the critical strike chance by 6%, was 5 to 10, so reducing talent point bloat. Improved Shadow Dance is now a 1-point talent, increasing the duration of Shadow Dance by 2, so there's more talent bloat. Shadow Finishers is now a 1-point talent, and its effect causes 25% additional damage to Shadow. Shadow Focus now reduces energy cost by 10, was previously 15. Deepening Shadows now reduces Shadow Dance cooldown by a half a second per combo point, was 0.7, so you're not getting your Shadow Dances as frequently. Perforated Veins has been redesigned as a 1-point talent. After striking 5 times with Gloomblade, your next attack that generates combo points deals 50% increased damage, more sustained damage. It's pretty good. I like that. Lingering Shadow is now a 1-point talent. Per talent point has not changed. Deeper Daggers is now a 1-point talent. It has not changed in terms of value. Finality Finality buffs no longer have a buff duration, and the Rotten has been adjusted. Bonus to damage and critical strike now applies to any attack that generates combo points with Backstab, Gloomblade, and Shadow Strike, and the effect no longer generates combo points. Okay, so some stuff in Rogue is memey, and they're making them more tanky. I don't know if I like it. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I like the Rogue changes. For Shaman, Mana Spring now restores 150 of the mana for the Enhancement Shaman was 250, and 150 mana for Restoration Shamans was 350, and 100 mana for Elemental. So nerfing mana regeneration as a whole, it seems like. Primordial Wave damage for Enhance is being increased by 500%. I don't know if that's going to make it viable, but that's a big number. You might want to try it. Resto Shaman, what kind of healer buffs are you going to be getting? Healing Stream Totem, 20%. Healing Surge, 30%. Healing Wave, 30%. Primordial Wave replicates Healing Wave at 40% of the effectiveness, down from 60, so a bit of a nerf to Primordial Wave. Again, it's still probably a lay on hands with Nature Swiftness. Cloudburst Totem now accumulates 20% of your healing done, down from 30, so now you're pretty much never going to take that in PvP. Ascendance now duplicates 80% of all the healing done, was 100%. And Manatide Totem now increases mana regeneration by 80%, was 100. And Resurgence now restores 20% less mana. So targeting your mana regen, increasing your casted healing, and nerfing your cooldowns. Honestly, don't know if they really even needed to nerf the cooldowns for Shaman. I feel like Shaman already wasn't that great. Now for Affliction, Grand Warlock's design has been redesigned. Summon Dark Glare cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. I don't know if that's enough to actually get you to go that deep into it. Demonology is getting a big update. Demonology's damage profile is currently too reliant on Nether Portal and Tyrant windows. We like the targeting here. We're redistributing the power of these abilities into their rotation. This is going to be good, so let's see. Gul'dan's Ambition has been redesigned. When Nether Portal ends, you summon a Pit Lord that serves you for 10 seconds. Grand Warlock's design has been redesigned. Summon Demonic Tyrant cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. Nerzul's Volition has been redesigned. Demons summoned from your Nether Portal deal 15 to 30% increased damage. Demonic Knowledge now has a 10% chance to cause Hannah Gul'dan to generate a demonic core, was a 15% chance. And new talent, Volatile Fiends. Implosion deals 10% increased damage. Bile Scourge Bombers deal 20% increased damage, and your spells now have a chance to summon a Bile Scourge Bomber. So random AoE. That's going to be fun in PvE, but in PvP, I kind of miss the Implosion build, getting a bunch of imps stacked up and trying to send them at somebody like the little alien creatures in Dragon Ball Z. I'm spacing out on the name of them. Somebody's gonna. I'm pretty sure Nappa sums them when he comes in with Vegeta. The Cybermen, the little Cybermen running and blowing up. So it's kind of sad not to see it. Summon Demonic Tyrant has been redesigned. Summon a Demonic Tyrant to increase the duration of your Dreadstalkers, Valfiend, Felguard, up to 10 seconds, and up to 10 of your Wild Imps for 15 seconds. Your Demonic Tyrant increases the damage of affected demons by 15% while damaging your target. Reign of Tyranny has been redesigned. Active Wild Imps now grant 1 stack of Demonic Servitude, and active Greater Demons grant 3 stacks of Demonic Servitude, up to 15 stacks. Demonic Tyrant deals 10% additional damage for each stack of Demonic Servitude at the active time of his summon. And Inner Demons no longer has a chance to summon an additional demon during combat. Ooh. Demonic Core is no longer baseline. Demon Bolt now grants the passive Demonic Core when learned. And Shadow Bolt damage has been increased by 30%. Demon Bolt damage has been increased by 15%. Valfiend damage being increased by 15%. And they are removing Bloodbound Imps. For Destruction Warlock, we're removing Madness of Azakir and introducing a new talent, Chaos Bringer, that increases the output of Chaos Bolt, Shadow Burn, and Rain of Fire. Additionally, we are adding damage to Chaos Bolt baseline. We are doing this specifically to decrease how penalizing movement can feel as Destruction Warlock, while also making these spells feel more impactful. Chaos Bringer, Chaos Bolt damage increased by 8 to 15%. Rain of Fire damage increased by 5 to 10%. Shadow Burn damage increased by 5 to 10%. Chaos Bolt's getting a 15% damage buff. And Warlock, Grand Warlock design has been redesigned. Summon Infernal cooldown reduced by 60 seconds. Ooh, more Infernals for more stuns. And Madness of Azakir has been removed. So a lot of class changes here. Likely going to be a lot more in the future as well. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you do, because I'm going to keep popping out here as they go. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this update. It's got you intrigued to check out some of the specs. Seems like it's a really good patch to try a healer out so far from this initial update. But other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.